What's going on, everybody? This is Brian Mazik, aka Unique Mazik, coming to you with the next episode of Mazik Speaks. And whoa, there's a lot to speak about this week. I'm going to tell y'all something right now. I've been a journalist probably for the past, let's see what year this is, 2000, for about almost 8 years now, right? This was the most eventful, sometimes exciting, but mostly mentally taxing week I've had as a sports journalist. It was insane. I mean, I'm a sports journalist as well as a sports video game journalist, right? So this past weekend, I covered Deontay Wilder against Luis Ortiz. There was also Sergey Kovalev against Igor Mikhalkin. And, there was a couple other fights. It was UFC 222 was going. It was insane just on the sports side. But then this whole NBA 2KLeague thing going on. Oh, it was crazy, right? So let's just jump right into what went on this week. I mean, so much stuff broke, right? So we found out, obviously, late last week, I believe it was, that the field had been trimmed from the NBA 2KLeague down from 72,250. And so people got emails. A lot of, the 250 people were happy and vocal about it. Some of the people who weren't picked were very unhappy and very also vocal about it. And some of them went to some different lengths to do some different things to call the whole system rigged. And some of them brought up some really good points. I did an interview with the primary person involved or pushing the rigged agenda, of pushing the rigged narrative. White Chocolate, we did an interview. Myself and Nelson Blake II did an interview with the gentleman. And I mean, he brought up some good points. I mean, I don't 100% agree with everything that he said, but he did bring up some good points. I think I told him that on the show. But a lot of the motive behind what he was saying is what I didn't agree with. But part of the reason why he did end up having some good points was because of the text messages and things like that surfaced between Anthony Morocco, who was the Cavs Legion gaming manager, and one of the last guys to get an email, which is Styles. The verbiage in that, in that particular conversation was just not good. And but we differ in our opinion about what he was doing. White Chocolate and the people who believe what he believes believe that Anthony Morocco had say in who went into that draft pool, which contradicts what people were told. We believe, and I believe that when I say we, I'm talking about Nelson and I, because we were the ones interviewing White Chocolate. We believe that Anthony didn't know anything. We was just trying to make it appear as though he did. Because a lot of times, guys, people do that. They thump their chest and they try to act as if they have more power than they do, because they feel that for whatever reason it gives them something. I believe he knows he shouldn't have done that, and now it's created a mess. And so, that's pretty much what that was. He did release a statement, as well as the NBA 2KLeague released a statement about it, talking about, just kind of letting everyone know what their selection process was about, and trying to explain how Styles got the email when he got it, and what Morocco was doing, and this, that, and the third, right? So, those are the statements, right? That's what ends up happening. Brendan Donahue, then, who is the managing director of the 2KLeague, he comes out with his own screenshots that support what was said. White Chocolate seemed to believe that those emails or those text messages or what have you, Discord, further proved his point. He created yet another video, which was supposed to show other, talked about how Brendan Donahue contacted someone and this, that, and the third. So it's a lot of that stuff going back and forth. At some point, though, I kind of felt as though we had taken that whole angle as far as it could go. And we even mentioned this to White Chocolate when he was on the interview. We asked him. So essentially, what you're saying is that the NBA 2K League, doctored the documents, because he said that he mentioned he made it to. He used an example. He said, anybody can create a Discord. I can go on and have a Discord with myself and make it look like one thing. So Nelson asked him, he said, so you're saying that they doctored the documents? And White Chocolate, in our video, he said, yes, that's what I'm saying. You can hear it right here.
Well, okay, so I just saw the screenshot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I just want to say, if that screenshot is enough proof for you to say that this wasn't rigged, then that's crazy. Because if it takes something 3 days, right? I'm just saying, listen, if it takes something 3 days, if it took them 3 days to release a statement, all they had to do was wake up. All it says is yesterday. There's no date on it. It doesn't say, hey, at what, I don't remember the exact date, if it was March 2nd or whatever it was. It doesn't say March 2nd at 11:51. It says yesterday. So I mean, what is that really saying? What, like, I don't understand.
Once again,
you guys are saying this screenshot just
you see, this is what I'm talking about. You're caught up on it took 1 day, it took 3 days, and I'm telling you, literally working for some of the largest companies in entertainment, sometimes a decision is made on Monday and it doesn't get executed till Friday because it has to go through a bunch of hands.
I'm not saying when the statement was released. I'm not talking about when the statement was released. It's not about when the statement was released. I'm talking about this when it was released due to the relevance that is the screenshot.
But
the screenshot has no concrete evidence, though. All it says is yesterday. So I could go hop in a Discord and make that same screenshot myself.
So you're saying there's a doctored screenshots. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. See, and I could
go hop in a Discord right now and make it.
Okay.
I mean, like, if you make that level of an accusation, right? So you're basically you're accusing the NBA and the 2K League of fraud.
Are you asking me?
I'm asking, yeah.
I'm doing what I just said.
So and here's what I'm telling you. I'm saying
I'm not going to say it was doctored. Listen, I'm not going to say the screenshot.
You said it was doctored. That's fine.
I'm saying that the screenshot is stamped yesterday, and all that says is that they had a conversation. See, they had a conversation, and they screenshotted it and put it yesterday. It doesn't prove anything. That's
fine. And listen, you can believe it's doctored, whether you're saying it here now legally.
I didn't say it was doctored.
That's fine. That's fine. I don't want. Again, I'm not trying to put you into.
You're putting words in my mouth.
I'm doing the opposite. I'm saying you didn't say that. But
now listen, this is the last comment I'm gonna make. You're not gonna get me to say anything out of the ordinary like that. But all I'm saying is,
not trying to.
Listen, I'm just saying I can go get 3 of my buddies right now. I don't even have to do 3 of my buddies. They blurred out all the faces. I could have a conversation with myself right now on Discord and tweet it tomorrow, and it'll say yesterday. And that's all I'm saying. Look, this is where the conversation ends for me. I appreciate you guys having me on, but we're getting a little bit too technical terms here for me, and I'm not getting myself against the ropes, so I'm out. But thank you for having me on the show.
Nice job, sir.
Now, when he was pushed, though, I asked about it. So are you saying that they're committing fraud? He then backed off the statement and decided that he was ending the interview, which it's totally his prerogative. So it is what it is. And so for me, at that point, that was where I decided to say, you know what, we've gone as far as we can go with this. I'm leaving it alone because unless either the NBA 2K League sues White Chocolate, whose real name, according to the articles that were written about him in the San Francisco Chronicle, and according to the name he had on his Twitter account, real name is Josh Humphreys. Unless the NBA 2K League sues Josh Humphreys, or Josh Humphreys and a group of people who believe what he believed turns around and sues the NBA 2K League, then there's really nothing else to talk about. Outside of that, it's really just about Josh White Chocolate gaining more social media followers from this. You know, he's like, I only need give me 100 retweets and I'll drop video 2. Well, it sounds like a market ploy, to be honest. And so it is what it is. I'm not saying that's exactly what it is. I'm not, like I said, I'm not saying he doesn't have any points, because I think he does have points. And I think that some negligence on some of the members of the NBA, some of the people in charge of at the NBA 2K League, mostly the gaming managers, are what somewhat validated those points. But like I said, it's time to let it go unless somebody is going to, you know, start legal action against the other party. If that's not what Josh and his followers are going to do, and that's not what the NBA 2K League is going to do with Josh, then it's just nothing to do. It's nothing else to talk about. Now it's just stuff going back and forth, and the league is going to go on, has to go on, and so does everybody else who didn't make that 250. They got to go on. So, barring some sort of legal action, I'm not covering the story anymore. And pretty much what I'm saying here and whatever will be said in this particular episode of Mazik Speaks is the last you'll hear about it from me. Now, unfortunately, I wish that that was the end of what we had to talk about in regards to the NBA 2K League that doesn't have anything to actually do with the game. Unfortunately, Mavs gaming general manager Roger Kaneda had his own separate saga going on, right? He's accused, and I say accused because we don't know all of the details. Well, one of them, I think we do know the details. He used the N-word in a text message or in some sort of, I think it was a text message, talking to someone online, and it didn't seem as though he used it in a racist manner, but in any case at all, it's still an inappropriate word, and he used it. And I do think that there should have been some penalty for that. He was removed from the position of general manager after that initial issue happened. And I spoke to a representative from Mavs Gaming, and that was word for word what they told me. He's been removed from the position. So when I came back to them and followed up and said, so does that mean he's still with the company or with the organization, or is he in a different capacity? They didn't have any further comment. And no one got back to me in regards to that, right? So here we go. The next day, I think it was, I believe it was, because that particular story I wrote, published on March 5th, the evening of March 5th. Now here we go. The next day, more allegations are being made towards Roger Kaneda. These are undoubtedly racist, but there's a question as to whether these tweets came from a hacked account. So apparently Roger used to work for a company called the Money Matches, which is a company that serves kind of like as a bookie, more or less, for esports, gambling on esports, right? So it allows people to place bets on esports, and you can it's facilitated there on the site, right? So it's not a gambling site. It just okay. So Roger used to work for them. Apparently these tweets were done or posted or what have you during that time. So a source gave me these tweets and said, hey, here's what Roger was tweeting at this time. So I did some research into the source to find out whether or not, this, was this even worth moving on? I kind of got wind that some other journalistic outlets and some other publications that had gotten wind of it as well. So at that point, I felt like I had to talk about it, at least talk about it. Obviously not condemning Roger, because we don't know for a fact, we don't know the validity of these tweets, right? But we had to put it out there. So go back to Mavs Gaming for another statement on now this latest thing. Spokesperson now says that Roger has been suspended pending investigation. So that means you're not working in your role. We're investigating these claims that have come against you. And Generally what that means is if these claims are found to be true, then you will be removed from your position. At this point, I don't know what Mavs Gaming is going to do. Obviously, the Mavericks organization is already under some scrutiny because of some sexual misconduct allegations that have come against various members of the front office on the real basketball side. So now here we are on the gaming side, and they're incurring some other bad press. So you can understand that that organization is probably going to want to go into damage control at this point. And I think that's a lot of what we're seeing. And you can't blame them because, hey, you don't know what else to do. It really will be interesting to see whether or not the Mavs Gaming maintains Roger Kaneda, even if they can prove that these tweets are, I don't know. We have to find out. I don't know what you do in regards to this situation, because at this point, there's clearly a lot of negativity surrounding Roger Kaneda. So what do you do? I have no idea. I'm assuming we'll find out more than likely in the next week or so. As far as that particular story, I think we've gone as far as we can go with that particular one. Next thing for that is to wait to find out what the actual verdict is going to be. What is the results of Mavs Gaming's investigation, and then we'll know what's going to happen from there. So it is obviously it was a tumultuous week for the NBA 2K League, and I really kind of chalk all of this up to growing pains for the entire league. And when I say the league, I'm not just talking about the gaming managers. I'm not just talking about the managing director. I'm not just talking about the spokespeople. I'm talking about even the community. The community, I've largely said, has too many toxic elements. And it's not everybody. There are some very cool and constructive people in the community. As a matter of fact, we're going to talk to one later on today. You've already seen the title of the video, so you know that we have an interview coming. We're going to talk to one. There's a lot of people like him, in the community. But unfortunately, there's a lot of people who are not mature enough to compete for something in a way that is fit for public consumption. And the community you're never going to get everybody to act the way they're supposed to act. So that's not even realistic. But a large percentage of the community has to mature and understand what being a part of an esport is. And esports, the people in charge of the organizations have to have a no tolerance policy for certain types of behavior. Now that goes throughout the community, the players, the competitors, as well as the people in charge of the organizations. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. I don't know what's going to happen with Roger Kaneda. There's an accountability element that has to come into play, even for other gaming managers who are not saying that sort of thing. I think a lot of them are learning right now what they can and cannot do. Some of them may have known, but some of them are very young people who have come from the gaming community. Maybe it's not the 2K community, but some gaming community, and they're very young and they don't know exactly what they should and shouldn't do. And many of them, this is their first quote unquote really, really big job. So now they have to pretty much learn on the fly. And I think that's what we saw from Anthony Morocco. I think it was somewhat of pretty much an honest mistake. I don't think he was trying to be malicious at all. I think he was trying to build rapport in a way that he wasn't being 100% honest. And that was a bad move. And inadvertently, he put the integrity of the league at stake. And, so there's a lot of other things that have gone on with that. And, but I will say this, the way that White Chocolate and some of the other people went about contesting what happened just wasn't the wisest thing to do. It wasn't the most constructive and non-toxic way to do things. It really just got nasty. It got to the point where some of the people who were in the 250 were being lightweight harassed on social media by other people who was just simply disgruntled I read a couple tweets where somebody was saying they hoped somebody got stabbed in the eye. And all this person did was qualify for the 250. They didn't disqualify anybody else. They didn't do any of these kind of things. So that kind of stuff just is unfortunate. Even myself, I'm a journalist within this genre, within this industry. And I had people coming to me saying all types of crazy things on social media. White Chocolate essentially made me an enemy based off of a negative scouting report that I wrote about him on Forbes. So that's how I got wrapped up in the whole thing with him. So it's just gotta grow up, gotta learn, gotta understand how to take criticism and how to deal with things when they don't go your way. And these are just, like I said, growing pains on all sides. And hopefully we can get down to actually talking about some NBA 2K basketball. I think that's what we really, really, everybody really wants to get to that place. I think even some of the people who are angry want to get to that place, even if they don't realize it as of yet. So that's all I got for the NBA 2K League right now, but we will revisit it when we go to our interview. But let's talk a little bit about some MLB The Show 18 on Thursday. The road to the show latest reveal took place, and they talked about the MLB The Show latest reveal took place, and they talked about road to the show. And I came away quite impressed. I wrote an article about the 8 takeaways from the Twitch stream and this trailer. And I one of the first things I noticed is they slightly altered the narrative. So now you start off as like a lesser known prospect who is trying to be the next great player that comes from being a late round pick. Now, there's still a narrator who is presenting your whole journey in a documentary style, but it's not so heavy-handed like it maybe was in NBA 2K15 or whatever, where the story was so heavy that it was like, am I even playing the game? Y'all just done took it out of my hands and you're playing now. So it's not that, it doesn't seem to be that heavy, but you can still, carve your own path, and um you're just trying to make a team at first. But that's just the narrative part. When you're actually creating your player, you got new hairstyles. I think they have like 45 total hairstyles in all. Got more you can do with facial hair and some other upgrades. One thing I really like too is now when you create a player, there's going to be an archetype. So we're seeing that across the board in sports video games right now. And I like it because I think it's sensible and realistic. You have some caps on certain attributes, so you can't just make like a person that's a 99 across the board. So, for example, there's a ball hawk archetype, which gives you really high potential for defensive attributes and some small ball stuff like bunting. But obviously, your power attributes, the maximums are going to be a little bit lower. I actually really like that. They've done some different things with gameplay and cameras. Now there's a slight delay after the ball is hit, which gives you an opportunity to gauge how hard the ball is hit, what type of slice it has. It's another fielding aid, basically. And they still have showtime, which I never liked. Actually don't think I'm gonna like this little delay either. The good thing is you can turn it off. That's the one thing I always say about MLB The Show, about Sony San Diego Studios. They introduce these new features and they try to show them to you or what have you. But if you don't like it, you don't have to use it. And that's what I love about them, because they don't force a feature on you. If you don't like it, you don't have to use it. I also really like the auto progression. So now when you're progressing and you're adding your player is being built up, it's being built based off of how you're actually playing. So you get power rating boosts when you start hitting doubles and extra base hits. Period. That's awesome. It makes total sense. I love that. And contact, when you start making a bunch of consistent contact, you're going to get boosts there on contact rating and that sort of thing. So I think that's great. But you still are able to train your player. So if you want to work on a specific group of attributes, you can do that. In the stream, they had their player hitting off a T, which then they had the option of upgrading either contact or power. So because you could tie that type of benefit into each one. I thought that was great as well. Then there's more licensed brands. and the brand license brands for equipment. And the cool thing about the equipment is it kind of works like a badge or equipment in like NBA 2K18. It gives you a boost to a point where your player can perform a little bit above what their rating is in a specific area if they have the right equipment. So I kind of dig that as well. There is also age regression. So as your player gets older, it's going to be more difficult for them to maintain the skills and the abilities and attributes that they've acquired. You'll have to make some choices. Which ones are you going to let lapse and which ones do you want to hold on to? And the older your player gets, the harder it is for them to maintain their uh, their attributes, which I think is great. So I just really love the direction that MLB the Show Road to the Show is going, and it's kind of hard for me to think that they'll mess it up because it's an offline feature. So usually at this point, when a mode is introduced to us in sports video games and it doesn't work exactly the way we were told, usually there's an online component, and that's part of what messes it up. Not this one. There's no online component, and I'm pretty psyched for it. Okay, next up, we got EA UFC 3, which had 2 patches during the week. Day 35 patch added Kobe Covington, boo, and it also added Tom Duquesnoy and Gokhan Saki, a light heavyweight. He's got like a 6-punch combo in the game. They moved Yancy Medeiros to welterweight, moved Jake Matthews to welterweight, and they had some cosmetic changes. They updated the Brian Ortega's face and hair, so now he has the braids. They updated Francis Ngannou's body type, which is also great. There was some tuning done in career mode, reducing the jump in difficulty at contender, and the stamina increased for your first WFA fight. So if you're still having your first WFA fight, you're not really deep at all into the career mode. So Ultimate Team Fighter and move item may now include a temporary boost effect. Multi-boost items are now available. UI improvements were made to solo challenges. You'll see some of the video and some of the updates on the screen right now from Jeff Harrower. The reduced the AI aggression, reduced AI tendency to leg check. I'm telling you, man, you couldn't get a leg check in at all. You might as well just abandon that because the AI wasn't letting none of those in. They reduced the AI grappling transition frequency following denials, reduced AI tendency to throw strikes from poor grappling positions, tuned AI to throw more standing strikes, and they added Justin Gaethje's custom block to his AI. They fixed various combinations that did not trigger properly. They still need to fix that spin kick that John Jones does every time you do the wheel kick, the spinning heel kick. Something weird happens with his leg. It's crazy. They fixed free strike after an active knockdown, get up or catch kick counter. They fixed free strike and side control after a power takedown. Fixed the hang and guard arm trap triangle. Fixed the stamina bug with Holloway's custom taunt. And they did a few other various bug fixes. They also added the referee break interactions during finish the fight. So the referee will basically come in. You'll see it, be able to see him. They added Gokhan Saki's signature combinations, which I talked about. Added Max Holloway's signature switch stance combinations. Added Anderson Silva's signature taunts. Added a new backward moving slip animation. I haven't been able to pull that off yet. Added the ability to cue takedowns and clinch attempts after strikes. Added the ability to quickly transition to takedown attempts after ducking and striking. They added stamina penalties to health events. And they talk about Gokhan Saki's combination list, and I'm like, I can't get this. I have no idea. I'm good at the game, but whoa, this is crazy. They tuned the block to come up quicker when switching between high and low block. Tuned stopping power rules for jabs and straights against forward moving opponents. They tuned health event frequencies and thresholds. They tuned grapple rating impact on transition speeds. Tuned contact frames logic for slipping strikes. Tuned stamina on missed and blocked slip strikes. Remove double uppercut combination coming out of a slip. So a lot of this stuff is just really exploits that people were doing that they've come up with. I kind of booed Kobe Covington because if you don't know Kobe Covington, he's a very controversial fighter who is made some racist comments And yeah, he's kind of controversial. So they got him in the game though. But there's been some player updates as well after the last two UFC shows. Andrei Arlovsky's takedowns went from 82 to 86 after he consistently planted Stefan Struve at UFC 222. Brian Ortega's power went from 89 to 90 after he knocked out Frankie Edgar. I'm almost thinking it might have maybe should have gone up to 91, 92. That elbow was nasty, and so was the uppercut that finished him. So whatever. Kat Zingano lost to Caitlin Vieira. Her footwork went down from 89 to 88, head moving from 88 to 87. Yeah, she wasn't moving her head a lot. They did add a low hook kick for her, level 1, and added a side kick to the leg, level 2, and added a side kick to the body, level 2. Cyborg, who beat the devil out of Yana Kunitskaya, her bottom game went from 89 to 90. Her clinch grapple went from 92 to 91, and her takedown defense dropped from 96 to 92. I thought that was excessive. Yeah, Kunitskaya did get the one takedown, but come on, I don't know about that one. Frankie Edgar lost, of course, to Brian Ortega, but they added his back spinning heel to the head, level 1. And Stefan Struve lost, so his takedown defense went from 87 to 86. Maybe should have been even lower than that. Added sidekick to the leg, level 2. At UFC Fight Night, UFC on Fox 28, Josh Emmett against Jeremy Stephens. Josh Emmett's not in the game. Jeremy Stephens is. He knocked out Josh Emmett. So naturally, Jeremy Stephens gets some boost. 88 to 89 in accuracy, 90 to 91 in blocking, 87 to 88 in footwork. Couldn't really give him too much more power. He's already hitting like a ton of bricks. Alan Juban knocked out Ben Saunders. He goes from 89 to 90. Ilir Latifi knocked out Ovin St. or choked out Ovin St. Preux. His submission offense went from 85 to 88. Marion Renault submitted Sarah McMahon. Her submission offense went from 89 to 90. Ovin St. Preux got submitted, of course, 89 to 88. Henan Barral got beat up. Yeah, man, Henan Barral is it's about done. Blocking went from 90 to 89. Power went from 92 to 91. Strike speed went from stayed at 92. I don't even know why they put that there, but okay. Sam Alvey won his fight. He surprised the very highly touted Martian. His name is Marcin. I can't remember his last name right now. He's making his UFC debut. Have had a little bit of hype behind him, but Sam Alvey knocked him out. The dude's fight IQ was almost as bad as Andre Sukumta. It was really bad. So I don't know what's going on. Sarah McMahon, her loss, submission 86 to 85. Tisha Torres got the brakes beat off her by Claudia Gadelha, but it was still a great fight that I thought probably could have been fight of the night. In any case, Tisha Torres' takedown defense went from 88 to 87. Part of the reason for that was because Jessica Andrade is who I meant, was slamming Tisha Torres around the octagon like she was an old hat. And it was very devastating. Yeah, that happened. So moving on. Tennis World Tour. I put a video up of this earlier this week. And man, I'm going to tell you, I'm really excited to have another tennis game. I'm a little wary of this one. The gameplay looks like it might be nice. The animations looks like it might be nice. But I don't know. They have, what do they have? They have 5 of the top 7. Yeah, 5 of the top 7. Is that right? Yeah, 5 of the top 7 men's players in the world. They only have 2 of the top 5 women's players in the world, 3 of the top 10. So from a licensing standpoint, there's not a ton of players. You got Roger Federer, you got Grigor Dimitrov and Alexander Zverev and Dominic Thiem and Stanislav Wawrinka. So you got some names: John Isner, Fabio Fognini, Milos Raonic. The women is really light. You got Carolyn Wozniacki. She was number 1 at the time. Garbine Muguruza is there. Angelique Kerber, Madison Keys, but no Serena, no Venus, no Simona Halep, no Rafael Nadal, no Novak Djokovic, no Marin Cilic. So it's some people missing, right? But you will be able to create players. You'll be able to create up to 20 of them. The creative player system didn't sound all that exciting to me because you can't do any face sculpting, but they did say there's a variety of facial templates to choose from as well as hairstyles. And the reason why I think that's important is because the game is going to have an online component, and the executive producers and gameplay producers told me that they really, really wanted to try to move this towards being an esport. So I was telling them that one of the best things about what NBA 2K is doing with esports is because they have the face scanning, they can actually make esports athletes look like themselves. And that's something that no other esport has right now. If you're playing CSGO, League of Legends, whatever, you're using a character, you're not using yourself. And NBA 2K is the only one that can do that. And I think that Tennis World Tour could have done that if they had face sculpting or face scanning, or if they just had a more in-depth player creation suite, but they don't. So that's that. But the career mode does sound really good because you have to make some decisions about what tournaments you're going to play. And it seems to be very goal oriented and goal focused, which is good, kind of keeps you on task. So that's mostly that. There is going to be some free DLC that comes out 2 months after the game releases, which the game is supposed to come out in May. But 2 months after it releases, there's going to be free DLC that adds doubles matches. So I'm sure the fans of the game are going to be looking forward to that. Okay, last thing before we get to our interview. Floyd Mayweather Jr. says he's currently working on a boxing game, right? So everybody knows me, knows that one of the things that I've been waiting on more than anything is another boxing video game. But I'm not sure I want Floyd to be involved with it. And the reason why I say that is because Floyd obviously always wants to have control, and I don't blame him. He earned the right. His intellectual property is what he, has all the rights to use however he wants to use it. But I'm not sure that something Floyd is associated with is going to be actually a good game, especially if he insists on having a certain amount of control over it. Also, we've heard some rumors he's talking about it being a VR boxing fitness game. Nah, I'm not. I mean, that may be cool, but that's not what I'm looking for. So, yeah, I'm not all that excited about that particular bit of news. It kind of is what it is. If he makes it, we'll see what happens. Obviously, I'd give it a spin just to be able to give an opinion on it. But that's not exactly the boxing video game that I'm waiting on. So hopefully he's either talking about something else or somebody else is going to develop one as well. And hopefully they won't be scared off by Floyd and his power or what have you. So that's what I got from the week in sports video games. It's now time to move on to the next segment. All right, y'all, it is time for this segment, which is the interview segment. I'm hoping you guys really look forward to this because this is the extremely unique aspect and unique, Mazik. You see what I just did there? It's a unique aspect of my show every week. We got a different person on to talk. This week, we got my man RedStickGamer. And if you haven't heard of him, there's a chance you might really be familiar with him in a little while because he is part of Club 250, and that is the 250 men and women who moved on to the final stages before the 102 is set for the NBA 2K League. I'll give him a brief introduction before I bring him in. I did a pretty in-depth scouting report on him, watched a number of games. I want to say maybe somewhere between 10 and 12, right? Then I actually also got a chance to play a game with him. After watching and playing a game with this guy, I felt like he was the best power forward that I had seen in the NBA 2K Combine / Pro-Am environment. So without further ado, RedStickGamer, what's going on, man?
What's up, man? Glad you really do appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. I'm glad you had some time to talk to me today. So I got to ask you, man, tell me how you felt. What were your thoughts when you got that email that said you were going to be a part of Club 250?
Man, it's still unbelievable, honestly. I remember, the first few waves went out, I believe 2 waves, and I was on the last wave. And,
Right.
that day I had to go to work. and it was hard for me to go to sleep. And I work nights, so I'm up this morning, you know, trying to go to sleep. And finally, I get to sleep. I wake up around 6 o'clock. I read a text message from a friend, and she's like, "I have a really good feeling about tonight." And she has no idea about the process or any of the waves or the what happens. And I check my email, and sure enough, there is an email in there from NBA.com.
Right.
All I see is congratulations. So I'm sitting there like, whoa. No way. No way. Because it's just unbelievable. You know, I believe in myself and I have the confidence that I can make it. But when you see that from NBA,
Right.
it's unbelievable. I'm still in shock.
Yeah.
And that's about it on the email.
Yeah, man. It's a beautiful affirmation, man. When you it's one thing to know you're good at something, but to have some people who actually have some influence and pull to validate you and say, yeah, you are really good at that.
Definitely. That's the best feeling when other people tell you how good you are. That there's no feeling like that.
Yeah. That's a beautiful thing. Now, I gotta ask you, unfortunately, you know, the combine was 72,000 people. Only 250 people made it to where you are. So 71,000 plus people, you know, didn't get the email that you got, right? So there's a lot of people that are not a lot. There's a decent number of people who are upset at the process and saying a lot of different things about it. And I'm sure it's impossible unless you've been on a LeBron James like social media strike. It's impossible for you not to have caught wind of some of this stuff that's being said and some of the things that are going on. So tell me, as a person who is a part of Club 250, tell me what it's like to have just received an email like you did, but to have to watch this go, like kind of even from the sidelines.
Like you said, there's a lot of negativity, and I have tried to LeBron James it and just, you know, not even look at it. I try not to respond to it. But yeah, I've seen, you know, the rumors of, you know, it being rigged and whatnot. I try to stay away from it. But I've been in this community. I've been in the competitive, you know, team up league since 2K9, and a lot of the guys in the 250 and people that didn't make it, I've known them for years. And I've been in the community so long, and people's reactions now, they don't surprise me. But I'm choosing to do what I've always done, and that's just try to stay away from negativity. And I just want to focus on being a better NBA 2K League prospect. That's really what I try to do.
Right.
And
go ahead. I'm sorry.
These last few days, I'm still working on, you know, practicing and getting better at the game. Really, that's all I've been doing.
So even though you already are in the 250 and probably the only thing left for you to do is to ace an interview, and I'm gonna ask you about that in a little bit. You're still practicing.
Yeah, I'm every night. I'm trying to learn new things, new offenses that are actually designed. If you know, I do play with Sam, and
right.
You know, we're trying to, you know, work on that, tailoring offenses that would be good for a 2K League environment, because the combine mode it was totally different from how Pro-Am was played.
Right.
And it's going to take a different style of game that people are not used to really be good in this league. And to me, the top players in the league are going to be the ones that are constantly preparing and just developing skills. And I'm not going to stop because I'm 250. I'm not going to stop trying to get better at the game and trying to learn more. That's just how I am.
Right. So because you saying that you working on adding some new stuff. I've seen you in this screen and roll and about the 50 million different things you do out of screen and roll. I'm trying to figure out what else you're going to add, bro.
It's just schemes and different, you know, like right now, for instance, we're working on something called Motion Wheat.
Okay.
And it's just it's a scheme. It's not a play or anything. It's just an offense designed to get me a post up shot or kick out 3. And if it all breaks down, it runs to pick and pop, pick and roll. You know, it's nothing complicated. It's just, I mean, the Spurs run it all the time.
Yeah.
It's from Greg Popovich. And it's just, that's what we've been working on right now. And every week, Sam's got some new offense that he just wants me to learn. That way I'm prepared and just can be that's what, because as far as moves in the game, I know every post move I could do in the game. You know, when I played Pro-Am, all we did was just pretty much freelance, and most of the teams want to run 5 out. And, you know, I can play well in that environment, but I know these leagues are going to be, you know, they're professional. They got coaches. They're not going to be out there telling guys, okay, go freelance, you know, just go do what you want to do. You know, they're going to have some type of set offense. So I want to be prepared for that. And I can never stop learning that stuff, because I'm not going to sit here and say I know every NBA offense or every scheme that teams run. So that's what I've been working on.
Yeah, that makes sense, man. I mean, to stay active and, you know, stay open to being able to be coached, because obviously when, you know, if you do make the league, you are going to have a coach and they're going to have their own schemes and that sort of thing. So, you know, you feel that you'll be adaptable to whatever scheme or coach that you get.
Yeah, I'm very coachable and always willing to learn and listen. Whatever they want me to do, I'm ready to do.
Got it. Yeah, for sure. Now, the interview, have you already had your interview?
Yeah.
Okay. How did it go? Or how do you think it went?
I was confident it went well. The only regret I have is it went by so fast. Like, and I just forgot a few things I wanted to say.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that I regret about the interview. Other than that, I believe they were pretty impressed, and I was well spoken, and I got most of my points across. I'm pretty confident with it.
So were there a lot of follow-up questions to the questions that you were like, so after you gave an answer, did they have a lot of follow-up questions afterwards?
There's a lot of multiple choice questions, and I guess if you want to call this follow-up questions, I mean, I'm not an interview expert or anything. Too many times, but you know, they asked about me. I gave them my story, and it was multiple choice stuff. And what would you do in this situation? It's just, it was kind of like just to see how you would react in certain situations in a game or after a game or whatnot.
Okay, so that kind of stuff. Because at this point, they already know you can play the game. So now they want to find out what kind of guy you are.
Exactly. That's what's going to separate the 250 from the 102 to me.
Yeah, I got it. So you mentioned your story. They asked you about your story. I know RedStickGamer, the you know, 2K power forward extraordinaire. You know, what is your story in terms of, I know you said you've been playing in this competitive team up environment since 2K9, but you know, what kind of brought on your love for 2K? How did this whole thing start? I mean, I put out an article a while ago asking for 2K resumes. So, you know, what's your story?
Well, my basketball began in 5th grade. That's when I joined my school's basketball team. And my 2K story starts in 2K6. That's when I went to Blockbuster and Live was rented out. So, so I got the one with Shaq on the cover, 2K6. I was mad. Okay, I wanted Live. I was mad. I was mad that day, but my dad was like, "Why don't you get that one?" I was like, "I don't really want that one, but I got it." I went home and played this game. I'm like, "Wow, this is so much more realistic," and I just liked the way it played. It felt better. You had the shot stick. Live didn't have that. I liked the shot stick, and so 2K6 and 2K9 was when I first realized I can play this game online. Okay, I'm like 15 years old at the time.
Right.
This is around the time that I got injured from a car wreck, and I couldn't play basketball no more in school. And I loved basketball. Like, that is my passion. So I started playing online, and I found Team Up online, which is, you know, it's basically what we're playing now, except back then it was NBA players you're using, and everybody's a player. There's no computers, and I love that. It was the closest thing you could get to real basketball when 5 people are controlling, well, 10 people are controlling everyone. And joined some leagues in that, you know, played that for a while. And I believe I didn't get really, really competitive until 2K12. This was after I played Crew, 2K10 and 11, which is what Pro-Am is now. Played those pretty competitive. I was the owner of a #1 team in that. In the first month, we were ranked #1 for a while. 12, joined team up leagues, and I won a lot of those. I won 9 of those from 12 to 16. 16, I got asked to join Always Open, and they were in the Road to the Finals tournament. So in 1 month, because I hadn't played my career the whole time, I was in these team up leagues heavy. In 1 month, I maxed my guy out. I got every badge you could get. Back then, you could get every single badge. Got every badge on the guy. I had a 6'7" outside point guard playing the small forward. I maxed his rebounding out. So he was kind of weird. But he could play forward. He was 6'7". He could grab boards, go coast to coast. He was fast. He could hit threes. And we played the commission round 1. You probably know their point guard 1 through 5. He's a very good point guard.
He's a good player. He's a very good player.
And we lost to them by 4, I believe, in the first round. And before this tournament, we had beaten every single team because we practiced that week. We beat everyone but them. When we practiced them, I think we lost by 2. We end up playing them in the first round. We lose by 4. But it was a great experience. Like that was the first like esports event 2K ever held. I believe. I want to say that.
Yeah. It's you telling us it was the Road to the Finals 2016.
Yep, I was in that. 17, we didn't qualify. We tried like hell, but did not make it. And ever since the announcement of the 2K League, I've been trying my hardest, get better every day. Been playing countless hours. There's no telling how much I've played this game since all this. I played it a lot. Let's just say that. And if I'm not playing competitively, I'm practicing or something. If I'm on the game, I'm doing something.
Right.
And now I'm here, 250 in the world, and that's my story for now. I'm doing an interview with a very respectable guy, and
I didn't pay him to say that, y'all. I didn't pay him. I didn't pay him to say that, man. You know what I really I think is cool is that and I don't fault anybody for telling their story. A lot of people told their story and they put it forth. They put it up front first. But you didn't do that. You played first. And you could have easily said that one of the biggest draws for you for Pro-Am or Combine is that it replaced real basketball. But you didn't put that forward. So most of us in the world are not even hearing or knowing that until you're already a part of the 250. So that
in my application.
Yeah. I mean, but everyone else, the world, is not really you're not knowing this until they watch or hear this interview,
I'm a quiet individual.
Yeah. I can tell I can peep that from your demeanor. But it's very interesting, man. So let me ask this question. This will be my last question. If you are selected to the 102, what is it? How do you want to impact the league?
That's a good question. Like you said, everybody in here is good. This 250, To be the best I can be, I just want to strive to win, and I want to be a role model for kids and anybody else that wants to be in this league. I want to set the standard for how to act in a professional league environment. And, you know, it's not just playing the game. It's, you know, you're studying the game. You gotta be into this game. You can't just, you know, a lot of people love to play. A lot of people don't love to go back and watch, you know, what you did wrong or take constructive criticism. And that's a big part of being the best you can be at this game. Just practicing, studying, and playing. And in big games, you can't be nervous. You just got to play. And that's about it. And you got to understand, when you join this league, you're going to be living with 5 other people. Okay, it's not just playing a game. You're living with these guys. You're working with them and living with them. Imagine living with the people you work with right now at your job. Like, you might not like some of these people, but you're not gonna be able to, you know, get in fights, and, you know, just because you don't like somebody, you're gonna have to learn to live with these people, and you got to focus heavily on creating a positive working and living environment. And that to me is going to be one of the toughest parts about this, that people aren't even realizing at this point.
Yeah. I think you have spit nothing but facts, sir. You really have. I mean, that everything you just said is actually 100% on point.
You want to? And they're wondering why they didn't get it. I dropped 40 points. Okay. I assumed they would be using some advanced, you know, analytics to narrow this down from 72,000 to 250. So my mindset was to go into every game trying to get a triple double 5x5. I wanted to do everything at an elite level, defensively, passive assists, and they even said, you know, they're looking at block efficiency, so you're not just spamming triangle. They're looking at, I believe they said pass to assist was one of the analytics they could see. There was, like the other day, they mentioned all the analytics you couldn't see, all the stats you couldn't see that they could see. And maybe that's a reason why people didn't make it, and they're wondering why. And to this day, I think I was the only person in the combine to get a triple double 5x5. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm just saying that because if you do that, you did every single thing in a game at an elite level.
Right.
I think that's one of the reasons I made the 250. I really do.
Yeah.
I wish I could see the analytics, but I don't think they're going to show that.
No, I don't think you're going to see that. But I mean, I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, a lot of this, I think, did take a certain type of analytical approach, and not everyone was looking at it that way. A lot of people were looking at it from face value. If I average a certain amount of points a game, you got to pick me. You know, doesn't matter how I get it. You guys are not going to be watching these games anyway. You're going to simply just look at raw statistics and I'll be in. And I think for a lot of them, it was a matter of you're playing checkers and they're playing chess. You know, and that ended up biting people, some people in the butt. Now, I'm not saying that some of the people who they got left out weren't good players, because I'm sure some of them are. And some of them may ultimately prove to be better players if they get a second opportunity than some of the people who made it. That could very well happen in season 2, season 3, or what have you. But for what was going on in this particular combine, I think a more balanced and efficient game was what won out.
Yep, that was my exact mindset. And I'm not going to say I was confident the whole time watching some of these guys with these, you know, crazy averages.
Yeah. You start. So what were you didn't? I don't know. I don't think you. Yeah, because I think you got your 2K lab numbers in late. What were your raw numbers? I know you don't know like if you know, effective field goal percentage necessarily, but
my final stats was, I think it was 19.7, so close to 20 a game.
Okay.
Close to 13 rebounds a game and 5 assists on like I think it was 65% from the field. I played 120 games. I had 70-something% win percentage, which is pretty good.
Yeah, definitely.
I believe that's what they were.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you know, and so that tells you right there, right, that it was something more than just the raw stats, because
Definitely.
those are really good. That's a really good stat line, right? But if you hold that up to somebody else who averaged 40 and 16 and didn't get in, you'd swear that they were supposed to, right?
There had to be a way they could track what I was doing defensively, because I'm not bragging, but I was everywhere, you know, pick and rolls. I was stopping them. I was defending two people by myself, because, you know, some of these guys, you know,
Oh yeah,
you know, you could tell they didn't play the game very long, so they just weren't very good. So you kind of had to make up for that, being, you know, doing more. And I tried to do that. I tried to play defense. I played defense way harder than I played offense in that combine.
yeah,
Because everybody could score. Scoring's not hard in this game to me.
yeah.
But defense, that's where you're gonna shine.
Yeah. I mean, clearly, and I think that a lot of the league moving forward is going to have to focus on trying to put like perhaps the 5 best defenders on the floor, because being able to score, as you said, is something that just fundamentally the game is set up for you to score to a degree. But if you can defend, then that's where the actual skill gap may actually come.
Definitely, from playing competitive pro-am, the people that defended were the ones that won.
Yeah.
Because 5 out is not easy to defend.
Right.
Not the way this game is set up.
Exactly. So yeah, man, I really, really appreciate your time. I hope and pray that you do get into the 102. And so that you know, you can be a person that can represent the league and, you know, get an opportunity to continue on with the dream that you have. So again, it was my pleasure. This is RedStickGamer. And you guys make sure that you know, give him a follow on Twitter, and also check him out if you any opportunity you get a chance to watch a stream of him, whether it's on Sam Fam's channel or whoever. Definitely do that. All right, I appreciate you, man. Thanks a lot.
Appreciate that, Brian.
All right. Now I'm not. That's all I got for you today. I appreciate everybody that watched. God bless and peace.